Hi, this is Holly Ruxin from Outcom. As some of you know, we are embarking on doing videos with our investment managers so that you can take in information in a different way, along with our tear sheets. I'm really excited to be here with Karla Moore, who is a venture capitalist running Alante Capital. We have known Karla and our partner for a very long time. And as usual, we feel that we have picked the smartest and the most accomplished and best executor in this industry that we think has great impact and is also a great investment opportunity. So, Karla, thank you very much for being with us. Excited
Thanks,
to
Holly.
talk to you. Why don't you first tell me about your passion in this industry and what Alante is doing?
Absolutely. Thank you, Holly. It's my pleasure to be here and talk to you today. I have been passionate about driving systemic change in consumer industries since the very beginning of my career. So, for 25 years, I've been working in this in one way or another. I began as a development economist, working in supply chain reform in coffee, in agriculture, and other spaces, and saw an incredible opportunity in the apparel industry in 2016 that just sparked my passion and I couldn't not do it. For me, I just truly believe that with innovation, we can protect people and the planet in the way that we make and consume the everyday items that we all believe in or that we all consume.
So, in what ways have you, in your career and now leading up to Alante, have you been executing in this fashion? And then now the investment opportunity that you're offering our clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So early in my career, very early, right after undergrad, I worked for the UN on a project in the coffee sector. And we were looking for a way to make organic and fair trade coffee cost competitive because we knew that, if the quality is the same and the price is the same, people will purchase something that is fair trade organic. But if it's more expensive or the quality isn't there, people just won't do it for the goodness of the world. So that was a really interesting experience for me. We ultimately weren't successful. Large corporates within the coffee sector weren't ready for the work that we were doing. We were trying to validate their fair trade labels that were internalized and they weren't willing to play ball. And I just remember my boss at the UN being incredibly frustrated, defeated, and he ended up moving into sugar and other commodities. And he just said, if you really want to make a difference, you have to make sure that in the end of the day, this is going to drive value for the corporates that are leading this industry. Otherwise, they're never going to change. So with that,
Okay. So how does that now lead to a venture capital investment? And you can tell us what Alante is focused on, and how you are expertly executing that.
yeah. So after that experience, I went and got a master's degree in economics, worked across supply chain reform. I lived in Afghanistan doing work with the UN affiliate group there, working on this kind of concept of can we internalize these externalities and drive real value for business. And in 2016, I had moved over into venture capital. I've been via impact investing. So I've been working in that space for about 4 years. And I did an investment in a company in the indigo space. And Levi Strauss was working with them. This is one of the largest consumers of indigo globally. And it just sparked something. I looked at it and I said, why would they be working with this small startup that has this, better outcome for the planet? And I just went down this rabbit hole of seeing the enormous problems facing this global industry, this huge industry, environmental problems, economic problems. There was concerns around scarcity of feedstocks of indigo, of cotton, things that would be required for denim production. And I just saw that it was ripe for change. This industry was going to be changing. And if there were technologies that were available that would meet their demands, that would be competitive and protect the people on the planet, I believe we could see a real systemic change within this space. So I spent a year understanding the nuances of apparel, very similar to food and ag, but even more steps of complication that were exciting for me. Started talking to everyone I knew in this space and ultimately couldn't not start a fund here.
Right. And I think that this is why also we felt that it was time that to be on Malcolm's platform because we haven't addressed these issues. So can you tell us a little bit about what the issues are, why it's a good time to invest, and how Alante is executing?
Absolutely. So the apparel industry, along with a lot of other consumer industries, we started there, but we've expanded beyond that. And there are real challenges these global industries are facing. I mean, from COVID to the tariff challenges today, Supply chains are being disrupted. They're shutting down. The economics of them are changing. The brands that rely on these global supply chains have to figure out how to continue to survive, to continue to grow in the way that they do, to drive value to their shareholders, and they need new ways of doing it. Therefore, they need new tools to do it. They need new materials. There were floods in Pakistan that decimated organic cotton a few years back, and it just made cotton prices skyrocket. Now, if you're the Gap or if you're Levi's or if you're a brand that relies on cotton, this is hugely problematic. So they've been actively for about a decade now looking for alternatives. Can hemp get there? Can recycled fiber get there? How can we create more economic security and resilience while meeting demand for a more sustainable future within these industries? And so we just saw that global disruptions, changing consumer demand, real concern about how to continue to operate business as usual. It was all happening and culminating alongside huge leaps in technology. Huge. I mean, AI has driven enormous efficiencies and has the promise to do so in a far larger way when it comes to finding the right feedstocks for material innovation, for designing to actually meet the demand. Right now, overproduction is a huge problem within this industry and others. So much that is produced ends up in landfill before ever meeting someone's home. I mean, it's incredible to see the wastage across this industry, and it's all because it hadn't modernized. It was a lot of Excel spreadsheets, Word docs, old relationships, historic ways of working that are now being modernized quickly. And we were there early. So we've been able to see that happening, invest in the early solutions, and now we're starting to see them grow and actually begin to scale. So it's a very exciting time. And this is the beginning of a massive transformation.
So also, you're also investing in technologies that aren't just in consumer goods and fashion. Give us a couple examples of companies that you're investing in that also show us a good investment opportunity.
Absolutely. So while the apparel, home, outdoor industries are kind of where we focus, that is because that's where our huge relationships are with suppliers, brands, and customers. But the technologies we invest in serve far beyond those industries. Those industries, the apparel industry, is a great industry for new materials and innovation because it has a higher price point. So if you're looking at an alternative plastic, replacing spoons and forks and straws, the margins are so much lower than if you're starting to put that into a alternative luxury good. And so that's why the apparel industry is a great go-to-market industry for a lot of this innovation, but it's not where it stops. So there's technology in their platform, biomaterials, like alternative fibers. We invested recently in an alternative polyurethane, which is a polymer that is, you'd be shocked how pervasive it is. It is everywhere from like basketballs to your footwear to your desks to your chairs. I mean, it's kind of an alternative rubber. It's lacquer and paints and your fingernail polish. And it's made in a way that has a lot of toxic ingredients, but also is incredibly dangerous to produce, the isocyanate chemistry. Without going into the weeds, we invested this in fund too, and a company out of the National Science, the Renewable Science Lab here, that is bio-based, biodegradable, and isocyanate free, that has the clear path to being able to be cost competitive and meet on quality standards. Now, this is exciting. This is enormous. There's a direct application in alternative leathers, like immediately out the gates, in coatings for outdoor industry, but it can also go into all of these other industries.
Amazing. This is definitely for us an offering that we're not covering in all the other different venture capital funds that we've put on the platform, and an arena that is close to our heart. And I think really important to everything we do. Like you said, it's not just fashion, it's all consumer goods. So one thing right now in, let's see, we're talking in August 2025. This is on our platform for, I think that through the next few months, is what is the venture capital industry looking like? I've heard that there are no deals. We've certainly seen some of the returns in earlier vintage years not coming to as well fruition. And I'm also hearing that M&A activity is drying up. And I'm also hearing that valuations in venture is really low. So it's a great time to invest in venture. So have you here on video is so great. Please tell me what you think about the venture industry right now and why it's a good, you think it's a good investment at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Venture has changed a lot in the last couple of years. It's definitely going through a difficult time with money not flowing towards later stage investments, people not getting their exits, as you just said. A lot of capital kind of just being held on the sidelines to see how things are going to shake out. This has led to a lot of companies shutting down, a lot of managers not raising their second and third funds. It's definitely been a challenging time, but we've continued to prevail and to grow. And I think that's a direct result of our strategy, being completely focused on these industries where we have inside information from the networks and understanding of like, how does this operate? How does this work? Our partners work within the industry. Invest in what they're looking for and they're immediately able to adopt it. Instead of investing in something that doesn't yet have a market, we've seen a lot of money dry up there. We are investing in an area that has validated demand. We're able to de-risk it quickly. And the result is, I'm so proud to say that in 6 years of doing this, with this fund and investing here, we've had a zero loss rate. So all of our companies are continuing to operate and to grow. And while we haven't had exits, they've continued to go up in the right direction. We also haven't had down rounds. We've had no failures, and though I know write-offs are a part of venture capital and will likely, eventually have a few. I think that this has become a solid indication of our ability to diligence and support startups that have clear and competitive application in the markets that they're serving and are a direct result of our thematic and specialized strategy. So I think in terms of venture, right now, yes, it's risky. It's probably risky to do large generalist funds. But if you can get into something with nuanced expertise that has a real demand shown in the marketplace, I think it's a fantastic time to get into venture because valuations are dropping significantly, and business fundamentals have never been higher. So companies that are actually getting funded are able to actually have long runways without just relying on raising rounds and then having to figure out their business model. Like their business model has to be solid from the beginning. That's been an exciting change I've seen.
Great. And it's not an oversaturated market as we've seen because we thought that you guys were one of the few great players in this. Well, thank you very much, Carla. You can see we have someone who's extremely passionate about this, which is very important to us because that leads to great execution. Very experienced in this arena in a very variety of ways, has a diversified portfolio that's not just focused in a very narrow band. It's technologies that suit a lot of different kinds of companies, so a lot of different ways for being successful. And we're really excited to have you. If there's any other questions, please reach out to me. You can also get on the phone with Carla at any time that you want. And we're really excited to have you and to have spoken to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Holly, and I look forward to meeting you all.
Bye. Thanks.